Welcome in, belly up, have a seat and grab a drink as we talk some Wingman Fantasy Football. Welcome into another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Furley, and as always, I'd like to thank all of you, or any of you who may be watching or listening to today's show. This is episode 117, a Week 10 preview, and it is my great pleasure to welcome back into the bar Mr. Bernie, a.k.a. Team B.
I'm Cuban B. Yes, Cuban B.
How are you doing tonight, Bernie?
Somewhere between a victory lap and a garbage time touchdown.
Oh, wow. Yeah, hopefully you won't need the garbage time touchdown to get the victory lap, but we'll take them however we can get them.
Yes, sir.
All right, before we start, I've got a trivia question for you. Do you want me to ask it now or do you want me to save it for later?
No, go ahead. Ask me now. I'm feeling good.
All right, so we've added a new item on into the bar room. Can you find a new item and hanging up in our bar room?
Oh, let me take a look here. Let me see here. Oh, yep, I see it right there. It is Mr. Tim Hardaway from the Miami Heat picture. Looks like it's signed. Is that signed?
It is signed, as that was a gift from Team B to yours truly. Thank you for that. He gave me the signed autograph picture from Tim Hardaway. As he knows, I'm a Heat fan at heart. So we had to put that up in the bar so he can join us every week from here on out.
Oh, you're very welcome. I knew you would have a good home for it.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right, guys, in this episode, we will set the slate for the weekend's primetime games, check in on those player news and practice reports, check in on the non-activity of our waiver wire, go over this week's matchups for week number 10 in the Wingman Fantasy Football League. We will also see who's on top of the newest power rankings, and we also have our lead pipe stone cold locks of the week. Starts of the week. There we go. And we'll also have another installment of a fourth and long with Bernie. And we close our last chapter here of this leg of the Wingman Jam. The winner of this round here will get the first pick in our 2-on-2 battle for next week's 2-on-2 Wingman Jam. And of course, we will dive into this week's mailbag. But before we do that, let's make sure that everybody is in the room. Wingman Assemble! All right, friendly reminder, there are 4 teams on bye this week as we will be without players for the Cleveland Browns, Green Bay Packers, Las Vegas Raiders, and the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know what we're going to do without our key starters of Zamir White and Alexander Madison this week. I don't know how we're going to survive. All right, guys. Unfortunately, we are back to having a game in Europe. Nothing against Europe itself, of course, but these 9:30 games are a little tricky for our managers to make sure they get the news and their lineup set. This game has the New York Giants taking on the Carolina Panthers, and this game is at Munich and starts at 9:30 a.m. on Sunday morning. The Thursday night game this week, we had the Cincinnati Bengals prowling their way to Baltimore to take on the Ravens in Charm City, and that game took place at 8:15 p.m. Excuse me. The Sunday night game had the Detroit Lions stalking the Houston Texans at 8:20 p.m. And the last game of the week has the Miami Dolphins taking their pod to the other coast in an attempt to school those LA Rams in Los Angeles at 8:15 p.m. Which of these games are you most intrigued by, and which ones are you trying to avoid?
Oh, buddy, I've got my brown bag with the eyes cut out ready for Monday Night Football. Go Dolphins.
Oh, wow. We're already doing that. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, this first game on Thursday night, we had 12 players in our managers' lineups to start the week. A big start to our week as we had Waddle away, had 2 players in his lineup with his first round pick, Jamar Chase, and he put the new Raven, Deontay Johnson, in his lineup. And I think that's a bold move.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
All right, Mac Daddy 2's finally put Chase Brown in his starting lineup after being a mecha stud last week. Lionize put his star quarterback in his lineup as Lamar Jackson was up against Crazy Fish's Joe Burrow in the same game, mano a mano, QB versus QB. And Ben's brilliant team loaded up with the Cincinnati defense in his lineup for the Thursday night game. Amazing Spidey took a dart throw, putting in Mark Andrews in his lineup, and he's playing against King George, who had 2 Ravens in her lineup with Zay Flowers and Justin Tucker. This might give King George a nice head start for the weekend. And they took our jobs, had the most players in his lineup for the Thursday night game, as he had 3 players going with Derrick Henry, Mike Gesicki, and Evan McPherson in his lineup. If Cubert's Rage can survive the Thursday onslaught, he may just have a shot at this upset for this week. What do you think about all these players in this Thursday night game? A lot of Ravens. We have a lot of Ravens out there.
We do have a lot of Ravens out there. They have been balling, but I think both teams have offenses that can put up some points with their assets. So it's a smart move.
All right, guys. It is now time to check in on our player news and practice reports. All right, so we are going to start off here with Dak Prescott has not been officially placed on the IR, but he is expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks, if not even the remainder of the season, as he has a pretty severe hamstring injury. Chuba Hubbard signed a 4-year extension to stay with the Panthers. Is what for the money, or is what did they sign Chuba Hubbard to an extension?
Both, I guess.
He got a big payday. He got $33 million for 4 years.
Yeah, I guess that. Yeah. I guess they thought, hey, he's here, and we probably can't get anybody else here, so let's just keep him here.
So we'll stop here while we're talking about this here. So They have Jonathan Brooks, who just got activated from the NFI list. He was the highest drafted running back in this past class. Yeah. So this is it seems on paper like an odd move to pay the incumbent when you're trying to make way for the new guy. But what do you think about the fact that they have 2 players on here, maybe capping the ceiling for a rookie running back to flourish?
I think that they don't know what they're doing, and that's why they're in the position that they're in. I think that maybe there might be some changes in the offseason, but I don't know. It doesn't make sense. But a lot of things that the losing teams do doesn't make sense to me. But I'm not a GM, so I don't know.
You think they're trying to follow the model of the Detroit Lions and having 2 stud running backs potentially?
Yeah. Who's going to be their quarterback?
Someone to be drafted next year, I think.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then yeah, I guess load up the backfield. That's your safety blanket there, and then go from there.
All right, moving along here, we have Nico Collins is eligible, to return from the IR. He has already missed his 4 games, but he has not been activated yet, so we're not sure if he's going to get on the field or not. I don't know if the Texans are just playing this coy or if he's not ready. This is a big deal because Mac Daddy Tutu can handle missing some players, but this is one of his best players, and he's been without him for the last 4 weeks, and I'm sure he's chomping at the bit to get him back. Isaiah Likely was inactive for the Thursday night game, which is what prompted the Mark Andrews start tonight, as well as T. Higgins was also inactive for the Bengals here. All right, so what do we have about these 2 inactive players on the Thursday night game? And Nico Collins, they're not showing their hand, or he's not ready to go. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, I think that might be one of those things where with Collins, they don't want to push him back too fast because they know once he does come back, he's going to be money. As far as Isaiah Likely goes, I didn't see what was wrong with him, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But Higgins, we knew Higgins was going to be out. And that's okay because Jamar Chase and Chase Brown are 2 studs, one in the back and one in the front.
All right. Is this a human Bengal peed?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, you're good.
All right.
What do you think about Collins?
I don't know. Like they said he's been doing work on the side. He's been sprinting and stuff, but
maybe it's the next day thing. Maybe he's not recovering in time after the previous day's training. So they're like, hey, okay, let's not push it too hard if you're not recovering like you were recovering prior to your pre-injury.
Fair enough. Maybe he's getting some practice in, but it's a matter of getting those back-to-back work in to see how he's responding.
Yeah.
All right, moving along here. Jordan Mason returned to a full practice on Wednesday and Thursday. And Jonathan Brooks, like we mentioned before, I've said it for the last 3 weeks, but now it's official. I've been a little premature here, but Jonathan Brooks has been officially activated. I thought he was activated last week because I saw a report that he had a questionable tag next to his name, and you can't be questionable unless you're on the roster. So I think someone fed me some bad information. But as of was it Tuesday by 4:00, he was activated at the last day of his 21-day window. So he used all that practice time to get ready. A player on Team B's team, unless you dropped him, Jamison Williams was taken off that commissioner's exempt list. I thought that was a little sketchy, but I guess it was just to give him time to get their roster together, meaning he's going to rejoin the Detroit Lions active roster. And Christian McCaffrey has been practicing in a limited capacity. All right, let's cut through the noise here, people. He's practicing in a limited capacity, but he has not been officially been activated from the IR yet. Shanahan indicates he'll be a game-time decision. I'll believe it when I see it. He has until Saturday at 4:00 to be activated from the IR list in order to be a chance to be active for the Sunday game. So if he's not activated from the IR list by Saturday, he cannot play this Sunday. So he still may be a game time decision, but that's a big hint of what's going to happen. So you'll know by Saturday. You don't have to wait till Sunday. What do you think about these guys here? You got Williams back, Jameson Williams back, and McCaffrey. There's a lot of swirling around this.
Yeah, so the Jameson coming back throws a kind of a wrench in my whole strategy for this week, just because he's a guy I want to start, but I don't know if I'm going to, and I want to. That's a real big issue for me. McCaffrey, no. I'm going to hold on to Garendo. You're going to hold on to Mason until we actually see him on the field.
So there was reports going around. Schefter's like, he's expected to play. But if you actually, I'm not saying that's not true, but that's one quote they took out of the press availability from Shanahan. And he had a lot of stuff like, we're expecting him to play, but we're not sure if we're going to give him any snaps. Like it was all over the place. Every other sentence contradicted the other one. And the only one on the headline was, he's expected to play. But if there's, and I'm not saying that's not going to happen. I'm just saying he said everything from every direction, yes or no. And they just posted the yes. Yeah. Without all the no's that he said also in between. So I'm not saying he is or isn't. Do you expect him to play this week?
No, I don't.
Go ahead.
I don't. Anything out of that team, I don't expect. Whatever they say, I don't expect it until I see it. So it's just yeah.
I think for King George, the best case scenario is he plays. The second best scenario is that he doesn't play. The third best or worse in this case out of three is that he plays and gets halftime.
Only if he's on the bench on her team. I mean, that's worst case if he's in the lineup.
Right, that's what I mean. Like if he's active, you put him in and he gets partial work.
Exactly.
And if they don't, I think he can be fine in partial work, especially if they force feed him a touchdown. But if he doesn't get that touchdown with partial work, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. All right. Trevor Lawrence is dealing with a shoulder injury, and he's trending towards missing some time, and at least this week. Christian Olave is said to be taking some time to evaluate himself as he suffered 2 concussions in less than a 4-week span. Mike Evans has begun to do some individual drills. He's not expected to play this week, but their team is on bye next week. So this is great news to get a head start to coming out of that bye potentially healthy and get back in King George's lineup. So what do we have about these guys? Trevor Lawrence, maybe missing time with a shoulder injury. Olave's probably going to miss time with a concussion. Mike Evans is going to miss, but he's working his way back.
So Mike Evans and Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is not in the same category as Mike Evans as far as injuries and upside goes. So Mike Evans will be when he is healthy and when he's back in the lineup, he affects everybody on that roster. So if you've got Cade Otton now, you might want to try to sell high on Cade Otton now before Mike Evans comes back. Trevor Lawrence, if he is 50% of what he is, that means that he's probably not going to be as mobile, which it puts a very big hamper on his stat line. And who is the third guy? I'm sorry.
Chris Olave.
No, Chris Olave, yeah. That whole situation is up in the air. Wait and see. Let's see what the interim coach does. Let's see how Taysom Hill gets used, and then kind of go from there.
So I'm not a fan of Trevor Lawrence in terms of being a player, but I will give him credit. Last year, he pretty much had a broken ankle or a very sprained ankle, and he every week they're like he's going to miss time. He played every single game. Might have been the reason why they lost 5 or 6 in a row at the end because he was hurt. Mm-hmm. So they're saying he's going to miss time. It depends on if he has to get he might have to get surgery, which then will definitely cut his year short here. But he's a tough guy, and he plays through a lot of stuff. So if it's not surgery required, I think he's going to find his way to get on the field.
Is he going to be the Daniel Jones of the AFC?
Maybe. I don't want to put that on him, but maybe. All right, moving along here. We got Patrick Mahomes, who had a very weird tweak in his leg last Monday night. Going into halftime, I believe. It was on the third touchdown pass to P. Ryan on a scramble. It looked awkward. The announcers thought it looked bad. He didn't miss any time in that game as they scored a touchdown, so he had the defensive drive to rest. He's been practicing in full. I guess he's okay. He makes me a little nervous this week, but he has been practicing in full. Juwan Jennings, who is limited in practice this week, which is a little concerning, especially because he missed the game before the bye week. He had a bye week, and he still is not practicing in full. I'm hoping this is a ramp up to get him ready because Juwan Jennings is a fun player to watch, but he hasn't got a full practice in yet. Same with his teammate Deebo Samuel, who's been in and out of the lineup all year with various injuries. He's been practicing in a limited capacity, but the reports are he is expected to play on this Sunday night. And Khalil Herbert was active for the Thursday night game, making his Bengals debut as he was acquired just 2 days ago from the Bears. So that's a big deal. Let's just stop here as we got 4 guys after this. So we got Mahomes, a full go, even though he looked like he got banged up. You got a couple of San Francisco receivers who are been limited, but should play, and Khalil Herbert getting a quick turnaround and getting on the field.
Yeah. So Herbert, somebody did pick him up in our league. I don't remember who picked him up, but
he's a handcuff running back. Who do you think?
Oh, Crazy Fish has Herbert on his team. Crazy Fish also has Juwan Jennings on his team. Hey, Crazy Fish, if you want to sell Juwan Jennings, I would be more than willing to take a look at my roster. I make me an offer, and I'll take Juwan Jennings off your hands for you if you need an extra running back or two. I got some. Deebo Samuel, I wouldn't play him until I see the rest of those assets back in the lineup where he doesn't need to be the focus. Because if he's going to be the focus, then he's going to be 75, 60% all season if he's got to be that slot guy. But Jennings could help that situation with the Samuel and Mahomes. So this is what happened. Mahomes goes out because they score the touchdown, goes into the tent. Defense comes on the field. Tampa Bay goes 3 and out, and Mahomes is right back in. So it didn't seem like it was anything too crazy. Maybe just I felt something. Let me just not put any pressure on it. Go check it out, and I'm good to go now. I'm good. It
almost looked like for you guys who don't know, like I'm a UPS driver by trade. When you're walking in the grass and there's like a hole in the grass that's like the grass has grown over, so you take like a misstep.
Yeah,
it looked like his brain thought the ground was closer or farther away, and he kind of jammed his leg.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was a big time injury unless like a tendon ripped on a random thing. But I think it was just an awkward misstep as he tried to twist his body to make a goofy throw.
Yeah. So I'd be okay there with Mahomes. Start him if you got him.
All right, our last 4 guys here. Keaton Mitchell was activated for the Ravens. This kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, he's been practicing quietly in the background. We mentioned it last week to keep an eye on him, and then on the last show we said, I think it might be activated sooner than later. I thought the Thursday game might prevent him from being active for this week, but he's playing in tonight's game. I'm not sure if he's getting any work, but he was dressed. Saquon Barkley is off of the injury report. Great news. He had that little tweak in his back with that big leap he had in the last game, but according to practice reports, he is all good, as is A.J. Brown. He's been practicing in full as well, as he had that knee contusion, that bone bruise. So those things are more pain tolerance things. I see him a lot more when on the basketball teams I watch, and those guys either miss 2 days or 10 days, give or take, depending on what it is, because it depends how deep the bruise is. But being that they're not running up and down, like basketball is like a more impact on your legs, you're more jumping. And I mean, I know the receivers jump a lot, but you can take a break and grass is softer. So that's good news if he's practicing in full already.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I know I teased you. I messed up. And last note here is Darius Slayton has already been ruled out for that Giants game in Munich. All right, we have Keaton Mitchell active, couple of practicing Eagles, and Darius Slayton's been ruled out.
Yeah, so Wan'Dale Robinson, he might be out there. He might be something to look at, but I wouldn't get too crazy unless you're in dire need. And then A.J. Brown, I'm happy. I'm going to start him. Let's see how it goes. don't they have like that shot that they put in people that makes the pain go away or something? I don't know. Get something going. I'm not worried about Barkley. And then Mitchell, I don't think he's gotten any snaps yet. I haven't checked, but I think the game script is to where he's probably not going to go in because they're not way up. I think if they were going to be way up, he might start coming in and getting some reps that Justice Hill probably would have gotten. But I've heard that he was highly talked about by both Justice Hill and King Henry about his work ethic, about his playability, and so I picked him up because I heard that they were talking highly about him. So.
All right, very good. All right, guys, it is now time to take a look at our waiver wire activity for this past week. We only had 4 waiver bids this week for 3 NFL players, which means only 1 player received multiple bids. Our highest price free agent pickup this week, maybe because I talked him up a little bit in our last shows, the Philadelphia defense went to Red Sox Nation for $5, a huge price tag for a defense. However, it was a nice bid as the secondary. This is the only team that had only player had 2 bids. As Lion Eyes put in a $3 bid for this defense. So Red Sox Nation paid up, but he didn't pay too much as he paid just the right amount to acquire the Philly defense. Roshan Johnson is back on the Red Sox Nation roster for a price of $2. There were no other bids for Roshan Johnson. And Daniel Jones went to Crazy Fish, and we know how much he spent because he's got $0 left. He went to Crazy Fish for $0. So we only had 3 pickups, and our highest price pickup was a defense. Did you consider picking up the Philly defense? You've had him before.
I didn't. I didn't even think about defenses until after the fact. And then I looked to see what was available. So I'm still going to play it cool right now. Nobody is grabbing me saying spend the money to get them.
I think you want to save that money for whenever inevitably that big time running back's going to miss multiple weeks and his backup becomes a superstar stud.
That, or if I'm borderline going to need to make the playoffs or in the playoffs, and then I'm going to, need somebody. So.
All right, guys, now let's find out who's playing who in this week's matchups.
This week's matchup.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
All right, guys, it is time to see who's playing who. We are now in week 10. We are past the halfway point of the NFL regular season. In the last third of the regular season for the fantasy league season. So this is big time to make your move or time to get out of the way. Move, B, get out the way. Get out the way, B, get out the way. Honk, honk. All right, here we go. So Amazing Spidey at 5-4. I don't know how this guy's got a winning record, but we're going to take it. Amazing Spidey is playing Katie's King George, who's at 3-6, and she might be getting her number 1 pick back. This is a big matchup this week. What do you have on this game? I think it might come down to Christian McCaffrey.
No, I don't know. Maybe. Oh, he's in the lineup. It might come down to Christian McCaffrey. She does have some other people on the bench that she could play. I won't say anything because yes. Okay. Moving on to Amazing Spidey's team, though. He is starting Mr. Tua, and I am all for this, except the LA Rams have some rookies on defense that are stepping up. And they're getting better and better. So that LA Rams defense is, they've got a pass rusher, they've got a corner, they've got some guys that are going to cause a little bit of havoc that we're not expecting, I think.
I don't know if they're gamblers. They had a lot of interceptions last week against Geno Smith, but they also got torched by Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah,
they got torched by Juwan Jennings.
They did.
So, again, that was a little while ago. So we'll see. Yes, I do think they're getting better, but there are rookies. I will take a Tyreek Hill to a timing play against rookies any day of the week. All right, our next matchup here.
If he can get the ball out of his hands in time.
Yeah, fair enough. Yes. Our next matchup here is Andrew's Crazy Fish at 5-4 atop the Crackle division up against Reggie's Lion Eyes, who's on a 3-game heater for all those who watch. This one is going to be a big-time battle. I'm not sure their projected points, but Reggie's Lion Eyes can keep it going, get a 4-game winning streak. How is he going to get this one done?
Oh man, with Gibbs, definitely Jackson is probably going to give him a little bit of trouble, but Gibbs, McLaurin, I think who Najee might give him a little bit of trouble. I think Jalen Warren might get a little bit more playtime than Najee this time around. And then on the other side, if Pickens could get in the end zone without getting a penalty on that team, and if he could just get the scores on the board, Crazy Fish might take this down. If Pickens has a dud game, though, Lion Eyes might have this win.
What's the projected points going into the weekend?
The projected points as of now is 92 for Lionized and 95 for Crazy Fish.
Yeah, they both have their stud quarterbacks going this week, so they're probably going to cancel each other out a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, our next matchup here is Alex's They Took Our Jobs, fresh off a 142-point game. He's at 6-3, taking on Paul's Cubert Rage, who is also at 6-3. This is probably our biggest battle of teams with the best records. 2 6-3 teams going after it. What do you have on this game?
I only see one dud again on They Took Our Jobs. He's just going to have roster full of studs, but I don't think Gesicki is going to be a stud this week. So that's his one dud. And on the other side, I see a stud all the way down. Shakir is his only weak point. So if Shakir can outpoint Gesicki, then Cubert's Rage has a chance.
All right. Our next game on the docket here is Nick's Waddle Away.
Then he waddled away, waddle, waddle. Then he waddled away, waddle, waddle.
Nick's Waddle Away comes into this week at 4-5, up against Ken's the Fantastics, who broke the slide. He's at 2-7. Can Fantastics get a winning streak going here?
I think he can. Goff, the Dominator, is back in a dome. Not his dome, but a dome. Houston has a dome, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's retractable, so it might be open. It's a retractable dome, so we'll see.
Okay. We'll see. So he'll get more than 9 points. So I think he's good there. The rest of this down the roster: Adams, Dobbins, Deebo Samuel is a little questionable. Tyreek Hill, Tony Pollard. That's a good run right there. But on the other side, though, I do see a bunch of studs, except for Dalton Kincaid still in there. I'd get Dalton Kincaid out of there. This is going to be a close match. I'm going to lean towards Fantastics.
Okay. Our next battle here is Jimerson's Red Sox Nation at 5-4, up against Corey's Mac Daddy 2s at 7-2. Both these guys came up a loss last week, and this is a rematch from last year's Wingman Fantasy Football Cup. I don't know if you want to call it championship game of the 2023 season. And Corey's Mac Daddy 2s is looking for revenge as he's taking on Red Sox Nation. What do you have in this marquee matchup?
Well, he's starting Draco Mofo, so that's a good sign right away. Let's see here. On the other side, I see nothing but studs. Drake London, though, he was a little banged up last game, so I'd be worried about that for Red Sox Nation. CeeDee Lamb, he's also a little banged up, so those are 2 number 1 receivers. He's got 3 number 1 receivers. Oh, man, he's got Kate Otten in there. He's actually a number 1 receiver. He's starting 4 number 1 receivers over here on this side. So you know what? I'm going to have to lean towards Red Sox Nation on this one.
Oh, wow. That'd be a huge, huge win for Red Sox Nation.
Yeah.
All right. Our last game on the docket here is Bernie's Team B.
I'm Cuban B. Yes, Cuban B.
Up against Ben's brilliant team. Both these guys are at 4-5. Both these guys are on 2-game losing streaks. The loser of this game is going to be as cold as ice. The winner of this game is going to put themselves right back into the playoff picture. What do you have on this particular battle?
Well, I see studs on the other side across from me here. The only concern I have is DJ Moore. I think he has said that he likes Justin Fields better than Caleb Williams under his breath. So I don't know what that relationship is going to be like. I do see Kittle. Can Kittle keep it going? Is Kittle running hot yet or not running hot yet?
He's on a train run right now, man. He's doing great.
He is on a train run. Okay. So nobody told Kittle to get off the train yet. On the other side, though, I'm in flux. I've got Tracy coming in, but I might put in Taysom Hill. I might go ahead and put in Jameis Williams. I really don't know. I've got 2 guys on the bench that I might flip-flop in. I've got a new kicker. I've got a new defense. I'm just a little haywire. So I'm going to lean towards Ben's brilliant team because I'm still trying to figure things out.
Well, if you're really not sure about playing Tyrone Tracy, I'll trade you Javonte Williams straight up for him.
I'm going to pass on that. As much as I like the Broncos backfield, which I don't want. Not against who are they playing? Not against that team that they're playing.
For the Giants, they're playing the Carolina Panthers.
Not the Giants.
Denver's
Broncos.
playing Kansas City.
Yeah, Kansas City's run defense is a little bit better than Carolina's, so I'll stick with Tracy.
All right. Fair enough. All right, guys, it is now time to take a look at our updated power rankings.
By the power of Grayskull.
I'm living in it, no one man should have all that power.
Wingman Power Rankings.
All right, guys, we're going to take a look at our updated power rankings starting from the bottom. Ben's brilliant team brings up the 12th position in our power rankings. He's been there most of the season. Waddle Away was up at 7th last week, has dropped all the way down to 11th. Crazy Fish moves up 1 spot to 10th. Cubert's Rage moves up 1 spot to 9th. And Amazing Spidey moves 1 spot up to 8th. Let's see. Lion Eyes also moves. Everyone moves up 1 spot because Waddle Away dropped down so far. Lion Eyes moved up 1 spot to 7. The Fantastics falls from 5 to 6. Red Sox Nation moves from 6 to 5. A little swapperoo there. And Team B, consistent as always, has been between 3 and 5 all year long. He's back to that 4th position for the 2nd straight week. Katie's King George falls down a spot from 2 to 3. Mac Daddy 2's off of his loss last week falls from 1 to number 2, and our highest scoring team in the league, our highest scoring team from last week, has jumped from 3 to 1. What do you have? What's your thoughts on this updated power rankings?
It makes sense based on the scores or based on the points that are being scored. I think I probably am a little bit higher on the power rankings than I would be if somebody just looked at the teams themselves and the win-loss records. But I'm scoring points, so it's one of those things. The points against, I guess, kind of factor into this as well.
All right, guys, it is now time. We're feeling pretty good about ourselves after last week. We're going to come into this one with such confidence. It is now time to get into Week 10's starts of the week. Why don't you start us off with your positional starts of the week?
All right, starts of the week. I've got Mr. Drake May coming in at a 16.9 points, and he's going up against the Chicago Bears defense, which is it's a stout defense. They're not a walkover defense, but I think Drake May, with that scrambling that he does, with the just drive to win, he's going to be putting up more than 16.9 points.
Wow. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
In my running back spot, I've got Mr. Rico Dowdle. There is Cooper Rush that's going to be starting for Dallas. So I think that Rico is probably going to get a little bit more work than normal. And he's rated at a 9.8 points. So I think he's definitely going to be getting into the 15, 16 point area.
All right, I'm going to pause you there so I can catch up with my positions here. So,
I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. I like the Rico Dowdle pick. I think, like you said, they're going to, if he can handle it, they're definitely going to shift their focus to the running game.
Yep.
Drake May is a bold pick, but he's been pretty steady. He's a 19-point scorer almost every week.
Yep.
All right, so let me catch up with you here. My quarterbacks, that's all right. My quarterback start of the week is Sam Darnold. What am I doing? Up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That is a super plus matchup. The Jaguars give up the 2nd most points to the quarterback position. Sam Darnold is my quarterback start of the week. All right, for the running back position, I've got someone Bernie's going to love this. I've got someone who plays for the Giants who's going to be my running back start of the week.
I think you better call Tyrone.
All right, we're going to call on Tyrone Tracy. They're playing in Munich. That's the only part I don't like, but they're playing against the Carolina Panthers, who give up the most points to the running back position. They are just a field day. And why don't you give us so Tyrone Tracy is my running back start of the week. All right, why don't you give us your wide receiver start of the week?
All right, I've got Mr. Devontae Adams. Yes, I picked a Jet, and I picked a guy that Aaron Rodgers is throwing to, and it wasn't Garrett Wilson. I feel like Devontae and Aaron Rodgers are getting better and better together. They're getting their timing down. They're getting the looks that they want. Aaron doesn't look so old and feeble. So against Arizona, he's projected at a 12.47. So I believe that he can definitely surpass the 15 point mark in this game.
All right. Bold move there, calling for Devontae Adams. All right. So my wide receiver star of the week, I'm going to go with Juwan Jennings against the Tampa Bay Bucks, who give up the 7th most points to the position. I'm surprised it's that low because every time a team plays against the Tampa Bay Bucks, just think of the Falcons. Think of last week's. That was the best game for the Chiefs in terms of the passing game. They just give up points to the receivers. So we're going to go with Juwan Jennings as he's the guy who catches the more deeper routes, not deep routes, but those like 18-yard ins, which is what Purdy loves to throw. And if he can pick his type of pass, that's the one he's going to make. I see Juwan Jennings get 6 catches, averaging 12.5 a catch. It might sprinkle in a touchdown in there. So Juwan Jennings is my wide receiver start of the week.
Very nice, very nice. So I just got a quick little thing to point out about our starts of the week here. It looks like if you're an analytical person watching this show, then you might want to go with the Mike's because he's basing it on the defenses, which you should do. And I'm really kind of basing it off of feel and game script as opposed to the opposing defense. So 2 different looks at a way to pick a player to start within fantasy football.
Well, last week, man, you were 3 for 3. So I'll say you follow your heart. Unless you're Corey, then you don't follow Bernie. But he picked your quarterback, so this is going to be a very interesting battle here. Uh-oh. All right, guys, it is now time for your favorite Friday morning segment and mine. It's time for a 4th and long with Bernie.
This measurement could determine the Giants'
It is
season.
time for 4th and long.
With Bernie.
All right. Hey, everyone. Bernie here with another edition of 4th and Long, where we dive into the fun stuff happening around the NFL. So we've got to talk about the uniforms today because some teams are crushing it, while others, well, let's just say they're trying their best. I don't know if you're watching this Thursday night or you watched the Thursday night game, but there's some new uniforms on the field there. So, it's wild to think that back in the day, teams pretty much wore the same thing week in and week out. A leather helmet, a shirt with some stripes on it, a number, maybe a name, but I don't even think they had names back then. So the NFL, they didn't even allow alternate uniforms until 1994. And that was during their 75th anniversary year. Now, look at us. We've got teams changing outfits more often than a teenager before their first date. And folks, let me tell you, the NFL is ridiculous with their uniform rules. So, they've got a 50-page rule book just for uniforms. No fun league? Yeah, pretty much. That's how it was. I've seen wedding planners more relaxed about dress codes. But 2024, some exciting stuff happening. Did you guys see the Lions dropping that Motor City Muscle? Absolute fire. Love the blue and black on that helmet. It was money. I would buy that hat just if it looked like the helmet alone. The Ravens tonight or Thursday night wearing their purple rising alternates. They're making teams look twice, man. They got the front-facing logo on the Raven. I don't know how I feel about it. It's got the creepy eyes on it. That's kind of cool. But the gold face mask, the matte finish with the speck, the glitter on that purple helmet looks great. And the Texans, the H-Town blue, finally giving Houston something to be excited about, So the H-Town, it's got the old EH on it. It had a little hint of the Oilers blue outline within it. I mean, it had a little bit of everything. Out of those 3, though, the Lions ones was definitely my favorite. Now we're gonna check out some throwback images here. So we're going to bring in the screen and check out these throwback images here. All right. So starting with my absolute favorite, we've got these classic Dolphins in that perfect aqua. And it's perfect. I'm a biased Dolphin fan, but those were the best looking uniforms of that era, of any era. It's just the clean, the orange, the aqua. It looks so good. The Cowboys being Cowboys, keeping it clean and white. I don't know how I feel about it. It was like Jerry Jones just decided, hey, let's just do this all clean white. I do like the star on the shoulder pad, though. Looks good, boys. And oh boy, look at Atlanta in that classic red and black. That Falcon logo on the helmet, it was just so basic and mean looking. It was a clean look. And don't forget about their coach, Jerry Glanville, coming in with the leather chaps and the cowboy hat and the sunglasses, riding his motorcycle. Yeah, Jerry Glanville, the way to do it, Jerry. And now we got Tampa. What's Tampa doing down there with those creamsicles? I'm not a fan of the creamsicles, but some people seem to like it. I do like that logo on the helmet, though. And then we've got the Patriots before the dynasty. They weren't really that good before the dynasty, but their uniforms were all right. They were decent. And then we've got those Seattle Seahawks. You remember Brian Bosworth? Remember he did the hair and the thing with the color? I love those Seattle throwback uniforms. And then Denver. Denver's doing it right. John Elway's rookie year, I guess, they started doing these things. I like the blue that they used with the orange. So now I know you've got your favorite, and I know that you're looking at this list saying, where's my team? So let me know what you think. I want you to go in the comments and vote for your favorite throwback uniform. Tell me why the Dolphins isn't. Now, if you are a fan of any of these teams, don't vote for that one. Pick a different team. Obviously, we're all Dolphin fans, so we're all going to say the Dolphins are the best. But I want to see who's second best, and we'll make them first best. All right. Now, before we wrap this up, Mike, I know you've got an old school Vinny Testaverde creamsicle uniform in your closet, and we're not really going to talk about that one. So, Raiders Nation, I know you want to be in there, but you guys haven't changed your uniforms in like 4 or 5 decades, so you're not going to make it in there. All right, guys. So that's all we have. We were trying something new, trying to bring an image into the 4th and long, trying to bring in some user feedback into the 4th and long. Tell me what you think. You like this? You like looking at the pictures? Or do you want me to just talk and you can listen to my sultry voice? So that's all I have for today. Mike, who's your favorite?
Very nice. All right. Before I tell you which ones I like here, I got a question for you regarding these uniforms. So did you like these at the time, or do you like them how they look as they're like kind of rarer nowadays?
So I liked the Dolphins at the time, obviously. I really didn't like the Cowboys. I did like Seattle's at the time, and I did like San Francisco's at the time. Something about the red and the gold I liked. And that was probably it. I wasn't a fan of the creamsicles. None of that other stuff really was a big deal for me. Now, when I did see this year, these are all uniforms that were played this year, worn this year as throwbacks. When I saw the Denver on TV, though, it looked good. It looked good. And I think it's just because the new Denver uniforms don't look good to me.
I don't like their new the ones they changed. I think it was 97 when they won those back-to-back Super Bowls with Elway there at the end of his career. Yeah. They were the first ones to try and go a little outside the box with the styling of the piping and the lines and stuff.
Yeah.
They held on those for a while. They were a little weird at first, but they kind of, as other teams were kind of matching them, they look good. I don't like the ones they have now. They're kind of like awkwardly plain. They're not sleek plain. They're just kind of boxy.
Yeah. So, and I think a lot of it is looking at the new uniforms compared to the old uniforms and how the old uniforms look good. But now I don't want them to bring them back by any means.
Right.
I want them to be classic throwbacks so that we see once or twice a year. That's it.
The Dolphins always change their tint of teal or aqua every 3 years. It seemed like they had the same uniforms forever, but they didn't.
Right.
That the one they wore this year, I thought looked great on the field when they wore those. That greenish one.
That's the one from this picture.
Yeah, no, right.
Yeah.
The one I saw last week or 2 weeks ago that caught my attention was the Kelly greens for the Eagles. Looked pretty good.
Yep. So I left off the Kelly greens. I just didn't have room in the image for all of them to fit. And the Cleveland. So Cleveland had an all white throwback uniform, and it looked really good. White helmet and everything. It looked really good. It looked clean. So. Yeah, and then as far as the new ones go, I'd left off. I like the Bengals all white, the white Tiger Bengal uniform.
Their white striped helmets look great.
Yeah, and so upcoming though, Houston has got a red coming up, and it's got a really cool bull horn on the side of it.
Okay,
they're going to be using that Sunday, I believe.
Right,
and then in December, the Vikings have an all white. They're calling it the Winter Warrior or the Winter
Soldier or something.
So something like that.
Yeah.
Where it's all white. Helmet's white. Everything's white. It looks good. It looks good.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, that's great. I think some of these things, like, for example, like when the Seahawks put their throwbacks on this year, I thought they looked great. But it's one of those things, if I saw it 3 or 4 weeks in a row, I'd remember that they're whatever.
Yeah.
Like, they're good when they kind of pop out once a year.
Yeah.
And some look good enough you can wear them all the time. I think the Dolphins one looked good enough you can wear them all the time. The Seahawks one looked good for 1 or 2 weeks, and I think their new ones are pretty good. They've had that. That neon green they added was so crazy, but it works for so long.
Yeah, the highlighter. Yeah, for sure.
No, I don't mean the green jerseys. I just mean the green accent color.
Oh, yes, the green accent colors definitely were good.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, guys, it is now time to get into this week's Wingman Jam.
Wingman Fantasy Football.
Wingman Jam with Bernie the Bounty Hunter and Amazing Spidey. Boom shakalaka. All right, guys. Going into this past week, we were at 2-2 apiece after the appeal was upheld by Bernie for his Philadelphia-Cincinnati game. So we were tied going into week number 9. Let's just review our Wingman picks from last year to see what our standings are going into this week. The first matchup here was a player pick'em. We had Trey McBride versus Brock Bowers. Both players were projected in that 10-point range, 10 to 11-point range. And Bernie, you had Trey McBride. You can always double check me if I'm wrong. I had Brock Bowers, and Bowers took this one at 13 points. McBride had a good game. He actually got a rushing touch. Both these guys scored. McBride had 11.2 points. So starting off, I am 1-0 versus Bernie. The next one here was a NFL pick, a spread. The New Orleans Saints were favored by 7 points on the road at Carolina, and they did not only did Carolina cover, they won this game outright as they won the game 23-22, sending Dennis Allen packing. And so Bernie got this one right as he picked Carolina to cover. And like I said, not only they cover, but they won. And I picked New Orleans to cover on the big spread, and I was wrong. So at this point, we are 1-1 in last week's Wingman Jam. All right. Our next one, why don't you set us up here? Do you have it or not? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have it.
All right. What was your picture last week?
All right. So we had Denver at Baltimore, and Baltimore was favored at 8.5, and Baltimore destroyed Denver, and we both picked Baltimore in that one, so we both got that one correct.
All right. Yep.
And then the next one we had an we had a fantasy one. We had James Cook that was on Cubert's Rage going up against Devon Achane that was on Waddle Away, and they're both fans of each of those players going head to head in that game against each other. It was a pick'em who was going to get the higher points, and we both picked Achane. James Cook ended with 9.4 points, and Devon Achane ended with 28.1 points.
Achane tripled him up.
Oh, yeah.
He was the stud in that game for the Dolphins. So after this last week, we were both 3-1 last week. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
We were 2-2 after the week prior. So the running total through 2 legs of our Wingman Jam of this round is we're both 5-3. So if you're not sure what that means, the winner of this week's Wingman Jam will get the first pick in the following week's 2-on-2 battle. All right, so let's start off with this week's Wingman Jam pick'em for week number 10. I'll start us off here. I'm going to do a player versus player in terms of fantasy points. We have Taysom Hill projected for 8.1 points up against Kyle Pitts, projected at 7.5. So these guys are close enough to do a pick 'em. And we also have these two NFL teams going head to head as the Saints are playing the Falcons. This one's hard to say. I could see anything happening in this game, but I'm going to pick Taysom Hill. I don't know if he gets involved because of Dennis Allen or if it's just a Saints plan. I'm going to just give a chance here for Taysom Hill to make some noise. I'm going to pick Taysom Hill to outscore Kyle Pitts.
Ooh, okay. So I was going to lean towards Taysom Hill. Kyle Pitts is Lattimore is gone from the Saints. So he got traded away. The Saints need to step it up a little bit just to show that they're worth something, because they're all for sale pretty much next year. So they're putting their resume together on the field. So I think Kyle Pitts might get shut down, but the problem I have is that I don't want to start Taysom Hill, and if I pick him, then I got to start him. So I'm going to go with Kyle Pitts on this one.
All right, so we are different on this one. I got Hill. Yep. You've got Pitts.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to give you my next game here. It's an NFL game, a spread here. We've got Pittsburgh at Washington. Washington is favored by 2.5 at home. Both these teams, I believe, are first place in their divisions. If not, Pittsburgh is tied or right there with the Ravens. I think they're ahead because I think the Ravens lost 3 and Pittsburgh lost 2, but I might be mistaken. Anyway, I'm going to take the road dog to cover this one as Pittsburgh just finds a way to stay close, if not win these games. I'm going to take Pittsburgh to cover the 2.5 points.
No, Washington all the way on this one. Not even going to think about it. No rhyme or reason. Washington's at home. They're a better football team. I think their coach is possibly coach of the year. He's a candidate, top 3 for sure. Dan Quinn could get them to the Super Bowl like he did Atlanta. Nobody expected Atlanta to get to that Super Bowl. Dan Quinn could get Washington to a Super Bowl. I know that you laughed at me at the beginning of the year when I said Kingsbury is like the Shanahan to Quinn now, and you're like, you can't compare Shanahan to Kingsbury.
I did say that.
Yes, you did. Kingsbury's doing it, man. He's doing it. He's not Shanahan in the mind sense, but he knows how to get his players in the right position to score points on this particular team.
All right. I agree with you here. All right. Why don't you start us off with your picks here?
All right. So we're going to go kind of the same route with you here. We're going to do a player, and they're playing against each other in the game. It's Drake May and Caleb Williams, both projected at a 16.9 points. Head-to-head matchup, New England at Chicago. And they're both on the same fantasy football team. They are both on Mac Daddy 2's team.
This is tough. Well, I can already tell who you're going to pick because you had Drake May as your start of the week. So I'm just going to – so I'm assuming that's correct?
I don't know. Oh, yeah, I guess, yeah, I got to go first since that's my thing. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Drake May on this one.
That would be interesting if you picked the other guy, but okay.
Yeah. I'm hedging both ways.
Yeah, that's a big – yeah. I don't know. This is a pick 'em here. I like Drake May. Like I said, when we kind of were ranting against Mac Daddy 2 for playing Caleb Williams. Drake May's got that baseline rushing. He's going to get 35 to 45 yards, I think. Williams can scramble, but he uses it to run to the sideline and try and throw a pass down the sideline. I don't know. I think because you went against me on these close ones, I'm going to give you a chance or me a chance to either dominate or whatever. So I'm going to take Caleb Williams. I don't love it, but I don't think the defense is that. Caleb Williams has had his good games against not good defenses.
Right.
He gets dominated by medium to good defenses. I think New England's a medium to bad defense. I'm not sure about that, though. So I'm going to go with Caleb Williams, not confidently, but I'm going to go the opposite here.
Okay, good. All right, staying in that game, the NFL pick is going to be New England at Chicago. Chicago is -6 in this game. I am going to go ahead and say that New England can cover that -6. They're probably, if they lose, only going to lose by like 2 or 3.
I tend to agree. I don't want to give Chicago that many points. No, they haven't shown anything. I mean, they've won a couple games by a lot.
What are you talking about? You just made Caleb Williams your start over
for fantasy.
Drake.
Yeah, but 6 points is a big difference. I expect them to be
if Caleb
close.
Williams has more than 17 fantasy points, that means Chicago's putting up points. You in our league, you're only getting 4 points for a touchdown?
Yeah. I told you I was reluctant and not confident. I thought Caleb Williams. I'm just saying that's a big number for Chicago to cover. That's all I'm saying.
It is.
So I don't trust Chicago to get that big of a number. So I'm going to take New England just because of where the number's at.
Okay.
Hey, don't judge me, man. I'll pick who I pick.
No, I know. I'm trying to throw you off your game.
All right, I want you to review our picks here so we have this on tape again.
All right. So we have Pitts against Taysom Hill, and I'm going to take Pitts. You're going to take Taysom Hill. Then we have what was the game? I'm sorry.
Pittsburgh, Washington.
Pittsburgh, Washington at 2.5. I'm going to take Washington to win. You're going to take Pittsburgh to cover that 2.5. Drake May against Caleb Williams. I'm going to take May. You're going to take Williams, highest fantasy points. New England at Chicago at -6. I'm going to take New England to cover that -6, and you're going to also take New England to cover that -6.
All right, very good. So we have, I was half listening. So we have two different. We have all difference? 3
different, except for the New England at Chicago -6.
Okay, that's right. All right, we have a chance for a big time score here. Just a reminder, if we're at 0 or 1, or if we're tied or 1 apart, we will roll the dice who gets the first pick. If it's 2 ahead, 2 to 3, the team that's up by 2 or 3 will get the automatic first pick. And if it's 4 or more differential, which I don't think we can get here, then that team will get both the first 2 picks in our snake draft. So this is a big turnaround week here. Nice job. I'm going to try and push a button here. I don't know if it's a good idea. Let's see if this works.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
All right, guys. Mark Andrews just scored a touchdown. Our dart throw of the week. Our bold strategy.
Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
I'm going to try one more button. This is a bad idea. Oh, I'm afraid. Nope. Is it this one? All right, yeah.
It's a good
Mark
button,
Andrews, our dart throw, got the points tonight. Sorry about that. I just saw the thing come through. All right, guys, it is now time. Oh, I deserve to lose this week so bad. I shouldn't have done that. I totally deserve that. All right, now it's time to check in on this week's mailbag.
You've got mail.
You've got mail. Wingman Fantasy Football.
Mailbag!
All right, guys, I want to thank you all so very much. We've got a lot of different types of comments and messages in here today, and from all different mediums. This first one comes in from CPG. He left a comment on our wingmanfantasyfootball.com page. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Bravo.
All right. So he mentions here, hey, guys, at Wingman, it seems like your assessment of the Saints coaching was right on and led to the coaching change. Can you guys do the same and assess the Dolphins GM so maybe we can get a change for the Dolphins front office? I don't know what kind of power we have. We were just, whatever we were doing. We were just having fun with we don't want anyone to get fired unless CPG wants them out, then we'll advocate. So what's your thoughts on whether or not the Dolphins GM has to change? And if so, what can we do to make it happen?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think as long as we keep talking about it, what happens is it gets into the system, gets into the internet, and then these teams, they're using AI bots to try to figure things out. And the AI bots just coming into our YouTube and all the internet stuff and checking out our transcripts and be like, oh, man, so many people are saying these things about this guy. Let's get this guy out of here. So hopefully, is it Stephen Ross? Is that the owner of the Dolphins?
That's the owner. Yeah.
Hopefully he's
Greer.
Greer. Yeah. Greer's hopefully Ross knows how to use an AI bot and can get that information from our show, where he can say, yeah, this guy needs to go.
So we're not gonna advocate for everyone's firing. We're just gonna ask the question: is it time for them to make a change at the Dolphins GM position? I don't know. I'm just asking questions.
Well, they need to be changed at the ownership level. But hey, I'm not a billionaire, so I can't help them with that situation. But there's plenty of GMs out there. Waddle away. He is so in depth into Dolphins, like their money, their trade pick, their draft picks, what different moves they've got going on with teams. Like when I hear him talk about these Dolphins, it's like, man, do you have like a seat at the table? Like, are you a fly on the wall in one of those conference rooms? Like, you know so much about this stuff. So, there's other people out there. CPG, he could get in there. I would love to see that. If I could see CPG and Waddle Away as co-GMs for the Dolphins, we would be going straight to the top. Straight to the top.
I can only imagine how that would go. So we're not advocating for the firing of anybody, but we are advocating for hiring. We have some players, some managers in our leagues and some viewers of our shows, of subscribers who would definitely be assets to the Dolphins and helping them make strong, sound, quality decisions.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, you know what? They'd be making reasonable, like blatantly obvious decisions. Like, don't pay that guy because all he wants is the money, and then he's going to be hurt in a week.
Okay.
Because you paid him.
There you go. All right. This one comes in from the Fantastics. I didn't really understand exactly what he meant by this, so I don't know if I wrote it down. I'm just gonna tell you how I took it. It says, "Hey Bernie, I just want to let you know that I will not have the longest losing streak, and I will not have a longer losing streak than you had last year. So just like the Miami Dolphins who pop champagne when the last undefeated team loses for the season, I popped a Capri Sun in honor of not having the longest losing streak of the Wingman Fantasy Football career here. On a side note here, I looked up again. You had a 9-game losing streak last year. I keep bringing it up only because it was last year, and it's just a reference point. It's not to whatever, keep dogging you there.
I'm not hiding how bad I am. Bronze level fantasy player right here, buddy. Bronze level.
But I do want to let you know that our longest losing streak ever in our Wingman Fantasy Football League was a losing streak of 10 by our good pal, the manager named I Hate Winning, which makes sense. He lost 10 in a row in 2012, and I believe that was his last year playing in our league.
Oh, that's a long time ago.
So what do you think about
So I got one thing to say to Fantastics, popping his Capri Suns. What flavor is it? Is it strawberry kiwi? Because that's a good one. Is it wild cherry? Is it a Roaring Waters? Because if it's a Roaring Waters, just throw it away because it tastes like crap. Okay?
Oh, wow, we have a 4th and long coming out of this, my friend. I have a lot of disagreements. Is it like a Mountain Splash or Mountain Cooler or something?
Yeah, Pacific Cooler. Okay, Pacific Cooler is what they got. Okay,
that one's good.
Yeah, that one's good too. All right, so if there's a pineapple on the logo, maybe. If there's an apple on the logo, throw it away. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
All right, fair enough. All right. I agree to disagree. All right, this one comes in from Red Sox Nation. There are reports that Christian McCaffrey will play on Sunday against the Bucks, and I want to thank Katie so much for allowing the rest of the league to get a head start as she embarks on her 7-game winning streak to the title as she waits for her number 1 overall pick to return. We talked about this a little bit. What do you think about, listen, in all honesty, in terms of fantasy football as a whole, it's good to have Christian McCaffrey back. In terms of Katie's King George, who picked the number 1 player because she was kind of not forced to, but it was just the obvious choice, and not to have that player for 10 or 9 weeks is a bummer. So for Katie's King George, we also want Christian McCaffrey back. But I'm playing King George this week, and I just want him to hold off one more week, make sure he's all the way healthy. So what do you think about McCaffrey coming back and how long Katie's King George had to wait for her number 1 pick to get on the field?
Well, I already lost to Katie back in week 7. So week 10 is Amazing Spideys. Week 11 is the Fantastics. Week 12 is Cubert's Rage. Week 13 is Mac Daddy 2s. And week 14 is Reggie. Or Lion Eyes, I should say. So all of those guys, sorry, not sorry.
Very good. All right, guys. I want to thank you all so very much for watching another episode of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League podcast. You can find all of our podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, Amazon Music, and YouTube Music. If you're not sure if you want to watch or listen, go ahead and go to our wingmanentertainment.net/podcast page where you can choose either the audio feed or video feed. And if you want to watch that video and see these pretty faces, go to our YouTube channel at wingmanfantasyfootball.com. go ahead and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Leave a like and a comment. We will get you on our next mailbag segment. Let us know what your favorite throwbacks are, what your favorite new City Edition uniforms are, what your favorite Capri Sun flavor is, and we will get that in our next mailbag segment. I want to thank you all very much again. With that being said, may your glasses be full, your mugs stay frosty.
And never forget that ancient proverb, he who starts a backup running back shall weep twice, once when he puts him in and once when he checks the score.
Oh, man. All right, guys. I'm all right.